It's episode 9 of GrayVee on the City.
The GrayVee on the City this week is Cottage Springs Beverage Company, non-carbonated vodka water, raspberry lime flavor, and that's from Toronto.
Oh, my drink's also from Toronto. Jelly King by Bellwoods Brewery.
And Jelly of Your King.
It's delicious, sour.
Sour ale.
Yeah.
I need to taste that.
Yeah.
I love the sour ales. That's a huge bottle, though.
Yeah.
That's like, what, a tall can and a
Probably
and
and a half, maybe.
Ooh. And it has notes of fuzzy peach, tangerine, and grapefruit. It's a musical beer.
I feel like it tastes the grapefruit the most.
Just a little in your ear. Just a little bit.
A little bit of that song.
Exactly. It's getting hot. It is hot
It
in
is
here.
hot in here, yeah.
I feel like my hair is going to
Yeah.
frizz out. You know what a hairstylist told me? She told me that hair frizzes out because the hair is reaching for moisture in the atmosphere.
Weird.
Help me. I'm too hot.
I think with the humidity would make it more wet, so it wouldn't need to be.
I don't know. It was an interesting philosophy. I like the
Yeah.
I like
that there.
the idea of the little hairs reaching out for moisture.
Yeah.
Please. So I actually really like this drink because it is a non-carbonated version
Yeah.
of a great carbonated drink. So I guess Cottage Springs released, I think, the carbonated ones first. At least this is the first time I've seen the non-carbonated. And I think that a lot of vodka-based drinks are carbonated, which is super annoying because if you drink, a few of them, then you get all this bubbles and ugh, you just feel gross. And yeah, exactly. It's like your stomach is different portions of your stomach are talking to each other.
Yeah. It's not good for you, for someone who doesn't like to fart in public either. So.
I think farts are
builds
super
up.
gross, and they need to be confined into the washrooms.
Yeah. Except a couple days ago, that one time.
I don't know what you are speaking of.
Just chilling in the living room, and all I hear is pow. Didn't even sound like a fart. It's one explosion, like a car backfire or something.
I feel like that was my bubble. I was drinking way too much bubbly.
Yeah. You drink a lot of that stuff.
And it was also late at night. I was just screw it. But I feel like it saves up. So
Yeah.
it's super impactful. Mm-hmm. I like to be impactful in my... What was in your face?
I think there's cat hair flying around.
Just floating around.
It's reaching for the moisture, trying to fly around.
So I think laughs are super good. So if you need to laugh about farts or other silly stuff, I think that's super good given that the past 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, we could use some laughs nowadays.
Yeah, the past 2-3 weeks have been super rough.
Yeah.
In the social, a lot of people have actually just said I can't do the social media anymore because we had so much controversy and so much debate going on with the whole COVID stuff, and now I feel like a really, really important issue has come to light again. And the movement Black Lives Matter has come to our attention. Not that it was never not in our attention, but I think that it's good that it's come up again and people are inspired and having constructive conversations.
Yeah.
Obviously stemming from very, very negative situations. So that's not good.
No.
But
it's definitely the biggest protest they've had about this sort of thing, right?
yeah, because probably so many people are not necessarily are able to participate, right? A lot of I know that the pipeline protests and things like that, a lot of them would happen during working hours. So they were still pretty good in terms of attendance because you always get the student population who are very passionate and dedicated often because they're going through their studies and they're young.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's impressive. I think a lot of people are really struggling with the fact we're in lockdown and, this big protest happened.
Yeah.
But it's
things reached a boiling
you know
point
what?
for sure.
Some things, need to happen. And sometimes people need to have that to, participate.
Yeah.
And
I heard a lot of criticism at the beginning about people being out and about during COVID, but
yeah,
you got to do what you got to do in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus,
I don't know.
every protester I've seen, 99% of them, it seems, are wearing masks and stuff. And
Yeah, and I
Seems they're being
think
smart about it.
I think that the consequences of whatever will be dealt with. But I think that the bigger thing is the unity of people coming together
Yeah, needs to happen.
in a peaceful way over something that's important. And I think it's really interesting because, I mean, obviously with Justin Trudeau and his like 21-second pause,
Yeah.
On the US commentary, that's,
Yeah.
It's been a focus. And obviously, like a lot of politicians around the world have been commenting on the US and Trump's actions. But I think some of the most impactful social media statements I've seen actually bring it back to Canada and say, hey, look, we have a problem here as well. And I think that because the US is our neighbor and because Trump is so laughable and because there's such a huge issue with violence, against Black people in America, and it probably due to the accessibility somewhat of guns and stuff like that, but I think that we tend to like just focus on that and just say, oh, we're Canadians.
Yeah, we're okay up here. We're not
That's
Americans.
fine.
We don't have
Whatever.
guns up here. It's fine.
We got igloos, we're fine.
Yeah.
But I think that it's really important to bring it back and just reflect on how we do have problems here in Canada, significant problems.
Yeah.
And that's experienced by Indigenous people and Black people and other people that are racialized, as Justin Trudeau would say. I like that word now. I'm gonna use that as
He's
like
about
my
5 times in that little paragraph.
he did. He was like, I swear to God, he sits with like it's the thesaurus, and he's like, ta ta ta. What word can I use?
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's a good answer though, because like you could argue that he dodged the question a bit, but like you said, bring it back to point of view of Canada is important.
He did bring it back to Canada. I think that obviously the relations with the US and being on Trump's good side are very important to Justin Trudeau.
Take him off, he's just going to mess with our trade and stuff.
Look at all the craziness that happened with like NAFTA and the threats back and forth and the tariffs. So I think it sucks, but I mean, I don't know. We have a lot of other voices that we can listen to for direction. Yeah. And, who said that, the prime minister's word is the only one that counts.
Far from it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, like, look at Trump. He's an idiot. And people in the U.S. are still educated and finding great, people to turn to look to instead of the president, you know? So I think that in the absence of really addressing the issue, we can look to people that do. Yeah. And I think the fact of the matter is both the Black community and Indigenous people are highly incriminated, in Canada. And I think that that's an issue that needs to come to light again. Yeah. It's a very small population in Canada overall, but the rate of police fatalities, incarcerations, and force used during arrests.
It's not proportional at all. Yeah.
Really high. So it's strange. It's strange. And it's nice to see those facts come to light and people call out and say, we need to look at this data. Because the weird thing about crime is you don't know it exists unless the police make an arrest.
Yeah, it's true.
So if the police are going after racialized groups and focusing on them and making arrests in those areas that are, communities of crime, so to speak, or whatever, then I think we're looking at a situation where we don't actually know what the correlation of crime and race is. Yeah. Because if you're targeting a certain population, then, of course, it's going to seem like they're committing crime.
Yeah. I know in the States, I don't think it's so much in Canada, at least not in Ontario, but cops will have a quota of how many arrests they have to make. And they'll specify you have to go to these neighborhoods to get the arrests. And if you go outside these neighborhoods, you're not doing your job.
No, it's true. Yeah. And I mean, the monetary connection to police and those quotas, which is obviously connected to money,
Yeah.
is where these problems come in. And I mean, it's also human nature.
Yeah.
Like if you have to meet a specific quota, you're going to go to an area where you think that quota is going to be met, you know, or you're going to go to an area where you, I don't know, you feel like the people, I don't know, will, what am I trying to say here? I don't know. I had a point and it threw out. We've restarted this too many times.
There's no going back.
Exactly. But I think the fact of the matter is, if you have a quota, you have pressure, and that quota is attached to a monetary value, you're going to go to areas where you think crime is happening.
Yeah.
And a lot of these communities too, that crime is more visible, right?
Yeah.
When we call it white collar crime, well, it is.
Yeah.
It is white people, the majority of white people committing it, right? So that's a lot harder to prove.
Yeah. You're not just going to see it on the sidewalk.
Exactly. So I think that that's the whole point I was trying to make.
Yeah.
But it's a tough subject. And I think that it's hard because I know that I struggle to find the right words. And I struggle to think about the message that I'm putting out there and how people perceive that, because I don't think...
Especially in times like these, people are going to be so much more sensitive to if you even misspeak a bit, you don't realize it.
And I think that it's our place to listen and be educated and educate others, but also leave space for Black people and the Black community to come forward and say, this is the way I want this message to come across. You know, don't create your own message as, you know, the white person.
Yeah.
Let us create the message and you carry it forward.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. And so I think that that's kind of why I'm like, I don't know. But I got some good statistics. Someone shared this on Facebook and I did some fact checking because I just wanted to make sure that it was, you know, accurate. You don't want to be spreading misinformation. But 10% of Toronto's population are Black. But 61% of cases where force is used, they make up 61% of cases where force is used by police. And 70% of fatalities resulting in death.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's from the Ontario Human Rights Commission specifically for Toronto. So Black people in Toronto, 20 times more likely to be shot dead by police. And then Indigenous Canadians are 4.8% of Canada's population, but 15% of police fatalities. And their incarceration rate's actually at 30%, which is huge if you think about all of the social issues that face, well, both groups. And the different ways of dealing with those social issues. Yeah. So there's like this huge movement to actually reduce the amount of areas that the police cover. And there's a huge movement saying the police don't need to go to domestic violence calls necessarily. We need to send like a caseworker who is prepared to handle that situation, and maybe they meet the woman in a secure location or something. Like there's different strategies.
Yeah, instead of sending the police directly to the house.
Because I mean the police are a great resource because they have the ability, like high training, to deal with very volatile situations. But a lot of situations are not that volatile that we need that level.
They can escalate if a cop shows up out of nowhere, you know.
Exactly.
Especially if one of the persons committing the crime doesn't know. Yeah,
I think that there's this. Well, exactly. And in certain communities, there's this huge fear of the, you know, of the police showing up. So that just quiets people even further. Yeah. So I mean, you might be a victim of domestic violence, but you're in a community that hates the police. And you don't want to bring the police to your community because they're going to arrest your neighbor who's doing this and so forth. And you don't want to be that neighbor that called the cops. So where do you turn? Yeah. Especially if the situation is volatile enough to warrant, you know, someone intervening. Could that person be, you know, prepared without having the training that a police officer does?
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I saw it first and it kind of threw me for a loop because our first response is always to call.
Yeah.
You know, but they were saying if you call 311, you know, and you get a caseworker that will take you, that understands domestic violence and will diffuse the situation, or you can even call them and just meet them in a secure location somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
Or you just need someone to talk to, you know. Or a mental health worker. I read this case once, actually. And it was really interesting because I was involved with the police. I thought that sounds bad. I was working with a police agency at the time. And someone who was mentally ill set his apartment on fire. And he grabbed I think like a crowbar or something, baseball bat or something. And he was literally like swinging it at the officers and just throwing a fit.
Yeah.
And they shot him. And the reaction was interesting because obviously the police were defensive, right?
Yeah.
They were like, no, they made the right decision. And I said, well, we have a continuum of force. Baseball bat doesn't equal gun.
No, I don't get why tasers aren't used more often than not.
Well, tasers, I mean, they're problematic in itself, right?
Yeah, still better than getting shot, though, I'd say.
Yeah, it depends on the officer who's employing it, though. Because remember that guy in the airport that got shot with a taser, I think,
repeatedly
twice?
or something? Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. But you're right. I mean, like, baseball bat to me, I was like, well, no, they're trained in all sorts of different ways. But I think that we forget sometimes of the fear factor, too.
Yeah.
Of the fact that police officers are people.
Yeah.
And that situation was scary. And they were, what's the quickest way to, you know,
Exactly.
deal with the
Diffuse it.
situation?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do have sympathy because I do think that police are faced with extraordinarily difficult situations.
Yeah, it's a job I definitely wouldn't want. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, we can't expect them to be perfect, but with all of
You can
that
expect
training,
them to be doing better than they are.
Yeah. And it's just,
I heard a weird stat just today, actually. I can't remember the numbers, but just how many of them have either CTE, like the brain trauma issue, and sleep deprivation.
really?
Yeah,
So then that adds that additional layer,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. So they're not going to be thinking as clearly, more likely to react poorly. And
Yeah.
yeah,
No, and I mean, that makes sense that they would be more likely to suffer from concussion and have concussions and have side effects.
especially the
from that.
personality that goes into the police force. It's more likely to be a football player in high school or whatnot. And
Yeah, is it? Like statistically, it's
I would imagine so. I'm making that up, but I imagine so.
well, it's a different type of person. You're right. Yeah. It does take a different type of person, and it also takes a person that, like, I have crazy empathy and emotional intelligence, and I think about what people are thinking about me all the time. So I would be a horrible police officer, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be kind of checked out from your emotions a little bit, which, in my opinion, might make you, I don't know, less likely to sympathize with the person.
Yeah.
But it's a generalization.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to rely on facts and statistics.
Yeah.
And obviously they point to a problem. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, let's move on to something fun. So amidst all the craziness, I've joined a group that's super popular, actually. It's Ottawa Giving Fairies. So at first it was titled differently, but Facebook, which is why we might be getting problems with our YouTube videos, because Facebook apparently has a really, really strong crackdown now on anybody, I guess, promoting or sharing stuff to do with like illegal substances, or not illegal substances, but designated substances.
Right.
Is that the right word?
I know what you
mean. Alcohol, drugs.
Yeah.
And the like.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have to look into it because I don't know why I think Facebook probably got in trouble.
Yeah, that must have.
And I'm not quite sure why. But anyway, so this group was mainly about wine.
Yeah.
But we had to change it. The group got shut down.
Yeah.
And now it's been recreated as Giving Fairies, which is fine. And I mean, you can give whatever you want.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. But it's super awesome, and a lot of people have joined it, and we're basically sharing, our locations and saying, I'm open to getting a surprise gift from a fairy. And then there's obviously the people that are going out and giving these gifts, and they're taking their kids sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really fun thing. So I decided to participate and become a fairy.
Yeah, made some deliveries
And
today.
I was so excited because Dollarama opened.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if they were, I don't know. I feel like they were doing like curbside pickup or something like that. But now they're like open, like the ones that you have a sidewalk entrance. So I was like, oh, I got in Dollarama and I was like, oh.
Your favorite store.
Amazing. It's my favorite. I could spend like 2 hours there just because of like all the stuff that's cool. It's like my inner 5-year-old is like super excited. So I got all this stuff and I want to share it because I just think it's super random. So I got this coconut cup. It's a coconut shaped cup. It has a little straw hole.
Yeah, it's cute.
And then I did get reusable straws. They're somewhat reusable.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't have the budget for like the stainless steel ones, but you can clean that, use it a few times.
For sure.
Okay. All right. I got this magic towel. Magic towels are amazing. I got
they
one
expand
of them.
or something?
They expand in the bathtub.
Nice.
And they create like a little face cloth.
Oh, okay.
So I chose Wonder Woman because I felt like that was a powerful representation of females instead of a Disney princess. She is a superhero. I got this awesome DIY wind chime.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has like little paint and little, I don't know.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't put it out, but it'd be a cute craft
for people
for a
with
kid or
kids
something.
and
Yeah,
stuff,
exactly. I feel like parents everywhere are like, oh my God, more trash for my kid. 8 sparklers.
8 sparklers. Wow.
8 big sparklers. Because who doesn't love sparkles? Like, I saw them and I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of a representation of my mind because it's just like, I tried to find a theme. So I got Lay's to go with,
with the coconuts,
Yeah, but then the theme just went, it went out the door. Oh, and then I got this cool thing. I won't gift this because I want to test it out on air.
What is it supposed to be?
I don't know. It's like cute little lips and it's a whistle. We could have fun with the cat later.
Yeah.
And then I got some trashy candy. But yeah, and
Candy
then you
sticks,
put something else in there.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Whatever you want.
If whatever you want. Something for drinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so fun. So fun.
Yeah.
But people have posted their addresses and I think sometimes they get them wrong.
Oh, really?
Or something. So I felt really bad because like this one person, she clearly mixed up her address and I was like, oh, this isn't the right place.
That's maybe they just moved or something.
Yeah, and like in an apartment building, like a high rise, you want to be able to connect with the person, right?
Yeah.
Versus a house. Like a house is a little bit better because you can just leave it on the doorstep and the neighbors probably won't steal it. But with an apartment building, it's kind of like there's so much traffic in and out. Like you want to make sure that person's home, right?
Yeah. Is it all in Vanier?
Well, for me, it's like mainly Vanier.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if I
pick and
want
choose
to, I
which
can.
areas you want
Yeah,
to
I can go out. It's just what's convenient, and it's actually I'm really appreciative that they did the separation like that because it makes it easier because you can literally look at which like people will be on the same street.
Yeah.
And so for Lazy Fairy, I'm like, oh, cool. I can get rid of 2 things on the same street.
Yeah.
Perfect. So that was my good feeling awesomeness. So this is another basket that will go out later.
Nice.
Yeah.
Spread some joy in these dark times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think that's about it.
Yeah. Well, one more thing. Elon Musk got his rocket off.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
exciting.
Okay, so he had a failure to launch, though, at first.
Well, just because of weather.
Oh, because Gray got home and he was like so excited.
rushing
He was
home
like,
from the grocery store.
He was like, I can't even shower. I need to wait. So he got home from doing
Groceries and
and errands and stuff like that, and sat down and like got it all queued up.
Yeah.
And then I was like, whatever, it's a rocket.
Yeah, you're still working.
So I was still working away. And then I look over and I'm like, did it happen? Like, that was super quick. And he's like, no, it didn't happen. It's bad weather. So it happened on Saturday. Okay.
Yeah. Very exciting.
Oh, whatever Saturday it was, like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's about 2 weeks ago now. Be almost 3 weeks by the time this airs, but
Yeah.
yeah. Very exciting.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who
Really
was on
cool.
the rocket?
2 guys. I don't remember their names, but 2 males. Americans, obviously.
They didn't want to balance
first,
it out with some females.
No, didn't care.
Point 1 against Elon.
I think you have to blame NASA for that one. He'd be their
Oh, because he
astronauts.
recruits it from NASA?
Well, he's just supplying the rockets to NASA now. Because NASA used to make their own shuttles, but they weren't reusable. So every time they use one, they have to build a whole new rocket every time. So Elon's big thing is reusable rockets. So they can reuse them a minimum of 10 times, which is huge. So it's a big
Cool.
money saver.
So where's it go? It rockets up where?
Rockets up into orbit, and then it releases the capsule, and then that drives itself all the way to the space station, and then the rest of the rocket falls down and lands.
Who's in the space station?
It's all scientists doing experiments and whatnot.
Like, oh, wow.
Yeah,
Like, where is the space station?
orbiting. You can see it sometimes.
Oh.
Yeah, at night you'll see a
cool.
little star.
See, I
fly
forget
by.
about these things
Yeah.
just because it's not in my orbit. Ha. But that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a part of space I'm okay with.
Yeah, and Elon was saying since we want to start making bases on the moon and Mars, he wants to start just releasing like hundreds of rockets a year. Yeah, gonna be
I think we have to be very like
endeavor.
careful of who we invite to Mars.
Yeah,
If Elon's in charge of it, I think we can trust him. I
Yeah.
don't know. He'll probably be like, I have to put these chips in you first, though,
yeah,
so that I can monitor you.
yeah.
Okay, Elon. Well, that's cool. Good for him. That's a
Yeah, he
good.
was pretty emotional afterwards, actually.
Was he?
During the press conference.
Oh
yeah,
my god, he's not a robot. He's not like
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Robot.
Someone asked him. The clip I saw didn't actually show the question, but I think this question was: does knowing people's lives are at stake make it harder to build these things? And he couldn't even finish answering the question.
What do you mean when people's lives are at stake?
Well, the 2 guys inside the rocket. If the rocket explodes, they're dead. You know.
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah. So yeah, he got choked up about that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said even the return trip is going to be technically more difficult, so he's a little worried about that.
Yeah.
But,
Well, that's good. At
Yeah.
least he has a conscience.
yeah,
so
it's good
far.
to see.
We'll say power corrupts.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolute power corrupts. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening to episode 9 of GrayVee on the City. The next
See you next
episode
time.
will be the 10th episode.
Yes,
So we have
double
some special
digits.
treats. We'll wear some fun hats.
Yeah.
For all the people that are listening, because we have so many listeners out there. So yeah, episode 10 next week.
See you next
hopefully.
time. Yep.
All right. Take care. Cheers.